I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue thinking about you. Decorations of red on a green Christmas tree won't mean a thing if you're not here with me. Happy holidays, my friends. My name is Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to check out a classic by Billy Hayes and Jay Johnson. You may never have heard of those writers, but they wrote this classic tune called Blue Christmas, made famous by Elvis Presley. Today we're going to check out the chords, the strumming pattern, and spend a bunch of time playing uke together. So get yourself tuned up. Let's get to it. Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and click that alert bell so you know when the next video is coming your way. If you're interested in more learning resources, head over to allforuke.com where we have a full searchable library of songs, song sheets, practice tracks, worksheets, and more. All for you, allforuke.com. Let's start off by checking out the chords here. So we're going to use the C major chord, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. We also have G7. The G7 we play here with middle, index, and ring on the C, E, and A strings. Should sound like that, nice and clear. We also have a D minor chord. D minor's played with middle and ring on the G and C strings of the 2nd fret, our index on the 1st fret of the E string. Sounds like that. We have an A7 chord. Easy 1-finger chord here on the 1st fret of the C string. When you're playing all of these chords, really make sure that your fingers are in close proximity to those frets, not touching them, but just slightly behind, leaving a little gap. That's where you're going to get your nicest tone on all of these chords. We have a G minor chord, one of my favorites. Middle finger on the C string of the 2nd fret, ring finger on the E string of the 3rd fret, and index finger on the 1st fret A string. Beautiful sounding chord there. We have a D7 chord. We can play that with our middle and ring finger on the G and E strings of the 2nd fret. You can also bar the entire 2nd fret and place your middle finger on the A string of the 3rd fret. A little different sound depending on what you're going for. And then we finish off here with a super cool chord called F sharp diminished. So this one almost sounds like a dominant 7 chord, but it's not quite a dominant 7 chord, it's a diminished chord. So I play this, the numbering is 2, 3, 2, 3. I have my index on the 2nd fret of the G string, my ring finger on the C string 3rd fret, my middle finger on the E string 2nd fret, and my pinky on the A string of the 3rd fret. So it's this kind of tight position to get your fingers into. So really make sure that you're up on your fingertips and creating that nice spacing. So an F sharp diminished chord. So those are the chords that we need for the song. Now let's check out the strumming pattern. The strumming pattern for this one is a classic, the island strum. I think it gives it a nice mellow, laid-back vibe that this song is going for. So the island strum is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we count that 1, 2, and 4, and. So again, keep your hand inside the confines of the body of the uke here, just to keep everything nice and tight as you're playing these chord changes. And make sure that you're keeping these off fingers nice and loose. I like to leave those dangling as I play the island strum. Keeps my wrist and everything involved with little tension as possible. 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and. So those are the chords. That is the strumming pattern. Now let's jump in to these sections. Well, this is a pretty short tune, but we're going to break it down section by section here. So we're going to start off a little demonstration here of the first 2 lines of the song. So I'll start on a C chord, I'll play it for you, and then we'll walk through it. 1, 2, 3, I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue thinking about you. All right, so we start off here on a C major chord, and we'll strum through that 2 times. We're going to transition over here to G7 from the C chord. So when you do that, just take your ring finger and slide it from the 3rd to 2nd fret and position your G7 chord over the strings before you make that move. It makes it a nice, easy transition here to G7. We'll strum that 2 times. And now we move from G7 to D minor. So when we make that transition, keep your index finger locked down here on the E string of the 1st fret and pivot the middle and the ring finger up to your D minor chord. So watch as I do this slowly. I'll just move my middle and ring finger up. My index doesn't move at all. I just kind of have a little slight turn in my hand to D minor, and we'll strum that 1 time through the island strum. And we're going to go right back to G7. So if you want to work on something, just work on this little transition back and forth from D minor to G7 because it's going to happen quite a few times in this tune. And then we finish off by just sliding back to where we started to the C chord. So we're just going to take our ring finger and move it from the 2nd fret back to the 3rd fret. And we strum that 2 times. So let's play through that together now, nice and slow, with a 4 count in. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, C, C, G7. Keep your eyes on your left hand. D minor, G7, back to C, and C again. If you're digging the sound of my uke, head over to allforuke.com/shop. You can have a Kala ukulele for yourself. When you buy your Kala ukulele through All for Uke, you're supporting us, and we really appreciate it. Make sure you check it out. Concerts, sopranos, tenors, baritones, a wide selection of accessories, capos, and more. All for you, allforuke.com/shop. All right, let's take a look at the next part of the verse here. So we start off on a G minor chord. I'll do a quick demonstration. Here we go. 2, 3. Decorations of red on a green Christmas tree won't mean a thing if you're not here with me. All right, so let's take a look at those moves. We start off with our G minor chord. We'll strum through that 1 time, and we take our move here to A7 from G minor. So you have a choice of either using your middle finger, sliding over on the C string to the 1st fret, or you can just go with the normal playing position for A7 with your index finger on the C string, and you'll strum through that 1 time with the island strum. From A7, we move back to our D minor chord, which we've played before. Again, while you're playing A7, it's in your best interest to keep your middle and ring finger hovering right over those strings so you can just drop those down to move on to your D minor chord. We'll strum through that 2 times over Green Christmas Tree. Then we move here from D minor to D7. Very cool little switch. So to make this transition, I'm going to keep my middle finger on the G string of the 2nd fret and move my ring finger down to the E string of the 2nd fret. So here's D minor, and then I move to D7, and I'm going to strum through that 2 times. And then I finish off a little part here with a G7 chord. So I try to keep my middle and ring finger intact, and I jump down 1 string and put my index finger on the 1st fret. So the D7 change to G7, and I'll strum through that 2 times. So let's play this little part together, starting on the G minor chord. Here comes a 4 count in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, A7, D minor. Then I switch to D7 and finish off with a G7. All right, let's go through our next 2 lines here, starting on the C chord. 2, 3. I'll have a blue Christmas that's certain. And when that blue heartache starts hurting, guess what? It's exactly the same as the beginning of the song, so you have nothing new to learn here. Just know that it's going to be the same chords as the first part. Now let's check out the ending of the song. I'll demonstrate that for you, and we'll go through it chord by chord. Starting on the G minor, you'll be doing all right with your Christmas of white, and I'll have a blue Christmas. So this last section of the song, we start off on a G minor chord, just as we did before, moving to an A7, and those are both going to be strummed one time. We move back to D minor, which we have done previously. And here's the little change. Now this is a chord change that is a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you a nice path to get there. So we're going to move to the F sharp diminished. Beautiful tension chord here. So I'm starting on my D minor chord. I strum that one time, and here's how I'm going to initiate the move. I'm going to take my ring finger and slide it from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret of the C string. As I do that, I'm trying to shape this chord to get to the F sharp diminished. So here's D minor, keeping my fingers nice and close to the fretboard here. As I initiate the move, I'm starting to form the F sharp diminished chord. So I want you to practice this quite a few times. Work on landing with all of your fingers simultaneously, because if you start building this chord, it's going to slow down your strum. So good little exercise is just work on making this move here to F sharp diminished. We strum that one time, and then we finish off by going to G7. We'll strum that twice. And you have the option, when you're coming from F sharp diminished here, you already have your G7 chord intact, so you can easily just slide this out of the F sharp diminished into the G7, but I'm using ring, pinky, and middle finger this time. And then I finish off the tune with a C chord, which you could either play with your pinky or, if you're more comfortable, with your ring finger. So those are all the chords. Now let's take a walk through that section nice and slow together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G minor, A7, D minor, F sharp diminished, G7 twice, and on C. Who's ready to play Blue Christmas with me? Let's play through this whole tune now. Starting on the C chord, I'll give us a 4 count in. I'll do my best Elvis impression here for you guys. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue thinking about you. Decorations of red on a green Christmas tree won't mean a thing if you're not here with me. I'll have a blue Christmas, that's certain. And when that blue heartache starts hurting, you'll be doing all right with your Christmas of white, but I'll have a blue Christmas. Well, I hope you had fun learning this classic holiday tune with me. Blue Christmas is a great one to work on, going through some different chord changes, and it's always fun to play around the holidays. Speaking of which, if you have a rendition of this that you would like to share with the community, please use either YouTube Shorts or Instagram tagging All for Uke, and let me see how you're doing with this tune or any of the other holiday music that we've been putting out. If you have any suggestions, leave those in the comments below. Also, make sure you go over to allforuke.com. I have a song sheet for this song that you can use. Take it to your next holiday gathering, maybe Christmas caroling. You never know. My name's Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.
Let's get